Hello, in this video we will discuss about the skin physiology and anatomy. So we will also understand about the immunology of the skin. So little bit we will also understand at the end of this video. So here is the cross section of the skin, which contain is the upper part is known as the epidermis, which that is upper epidermis is contain a stratum corneum, which that is a dead keratinized cell. So on the other hand, here is the is looking like that is the purple color showing that is the epidermis, while the dermis is here. So in this way you can see this is the dermis, and dermis contain a hair follicle, and on the other hand also contain a nerve fiber and the hair follicle and sebaceous gland, as well as the exocrine sweat gland, exocrine sweating gland, so sweating gland. On the other hand, the basically is important thing is that the erectus pilli muscle. This erector pilli muscle gives the goosebump during the cold weather. On the other hand, we will also understand about the sweat gland, as well as the sweat gland is used for the evaporation, is known as a thermoregulation. During the thermoregulation, sweating will be occur during the hot weather. So on the other hand, the hair is the sebaceous gland. This is sebaceous gland provide the nourishment to the hair as well as the shining of the hair. It is also important, it is exocrine. On the other hand, you can see that when light fall on the epidermis, so epidermis is protective due to the melanin pigment deposition. So the high keratinized and melanin pigment deposition, which protect from the cancer and other disorders. So on the other hand, is nerve fibers as well as Pacinian corpuscle, which that is also used for it, and used for the touch, pressure, and pain. Pain receptor are also present in the nerve ending. So the skin, basically we will discuss the skin is the largest organ, cover the body for protection and protection, carrier immunity, and survival, survives including. So on the other hand, the protection of fluid loss from body tissue and protection of environmental toxin and microorganisms. So the homeostasis of heat in the body from outer environment, regulation of normal body temperature. On the other hand, the maintenance of body temperature within the range of 37 to 38 degrees Celsius, while the outside fluctuation of the temperature will affect, but inside will maintain by the thermoregulation due to the skin evaporation or perspiration. So the maintain calcium level in body as a homeostasis and protection of UV radiation and production of vitamin D, cholecalciferol, and in this way the bones health by vitamin D through cholecalciferol in the presence of light. So in this way the calcium level will be maintained and the muscle fatigue and weakness will not occur. On this other hand, this all thing is related to the skin function. So let's begin to understand this was the skin anatomical aspect. So inside the skin is the down is the hypodermis, contain a adipose tissue, which provide the insulation of the body as well as provide the energy and insulation of the insulation of the shock absorber. So on the other hand, important thing is that here is I am giving the whole picture of the epidermis first, and we will understand that just epidermis, and we can able to understand the whole skin structure. So first of all, the first layer of the epidermis is the lowest layer is known as the stratum bacilli. The stratum bacilli contain a stem cell, and this stem cell is basically also the Merkel cell are present, as well as on the other hand the melanocyte. This is melanocyte. This melanocyte is responsible for production of melanin, and this melanin will be deposited into the cells, and this melanin is genetically more or less on the basis of genes expression, and this can be more dark or more less dark. So in this way the more dark will protect more from the UV lights. So here is the inner side is the dermis, which contain a blood circulatory system, capillaries, and these capillaries contain many lymphocytes, which that is come from the lymphatic system. So the lymphatic system will provide the T cell, B cell, and macrophage, monocyte, and natural killer cell. On the other hand, the many more. So on this way, here is the activation we will discuss of the melanin. So the melanocyte is here, which produce the melanin. How? Because the melanin stimulating factor will stimulate the medial lobe of the pituitary gland, which that produce the melanocyte stimulating hormone, which stimulate the melanocyte to produce the melanin. So this melanin will increase to more darkness. So during the sun bath, increase the melanin pigment will increase the more dark skin is known as tanning. So that is also known as the sun bath. So here is the stem cell. Stem cell will proliferate and move upward and from down to upward. So here is a Merkel cell. This Merkel cell is attached with the nerves, and this Merkel cell is used for the light touch and light pressure as well as the light pain. So on the other hand, not light pain but light pressure. So the Merkel cell is very important. So in this way here is you can see the T cell, B cell and B memory cell are present, and there are a lot of lymphocytes which that is different type of. We will discuss in the later in this video. So here is the upper layer is known as, I am not drawing the whole layers, the many more layers, but I am drawing the one layer for understanding. So remember about that. Their structure is not look like this, but I am giving the concept to understand. So here is the stratum spinosum. The stratum spinosum is upper part of the stratum bacilli, contain a keratinocyte, alpha or beta keratin on the basis of the different animal. So here is the basically here is the upper part is also the stratum granulosum. The stratum granulosum is called so because it is also contain a plasmocyte or dendritic cell. It is also known as the Langerhans cell or dendritic cell, which that is used for the recognition of the pathogen. When pathogen will be moving inside, so the recognition first through a dendritic cell. So in this way, here is the upper part is known as the stratum corneum. This stratum corneum is a dead tissue, a dead cells. This dead cell filled with keratin. This filled with the keratin will be sloughing off throughout the day, and the production of new keratinocytes from the stem cell also. So in this way here you can see the microbiome in our skin. So microbiota are present in our skin. So here we will discuss just about 3 examples. Streptococcus species, which that is a gram positive and cause the disease folliculitis and impetigo. And the on the other hand the corneobacterium, which that is a positive gram positive, and it is cause the erythema and pitigo. And this is also the keratolysis. And the mycobacterium, basically mycobacterium acid fast bacteria, which cause the cellulites. So that is the one of the best example of causing the disease by these bacteria. So the erysipelas is the impetigo scarlet fever causing agent, and the many more type of bacteria, positive or negative on the basis of their different structure, and cause the different disease. So we are not covering this topic about the disease, the pathophysiology. So here is just a dead cell filled with keratin. Whenever the rupturing of the dead cell filled with keratin, the stratum corneum will rupture and the pathogen will move inside, and after the recognition through a dendritic cell to produce the interferon gamma. This interferon gamma will stimulate the keratinocytes, alpha and beta keratin containing keratinocyte, and after this keratinocyte contain a antigen representing cell, and this is the antigen representing cell like a dendritic cell, and the T cell will be activated by this recognition by the MHC class 1, and after this proliferation to produce the CD8 and CD4 on the basis of different mechanism. And in this way here is the proliferation and recruitment of the macrophage also due to the production of the interferon. And on the other hand, there are many cytokines and chemokines which that is attract the macrophage also, and macrophage will engulf the pathogen. On the other hand, this is known as the immunity. This is known as the innate immunity. But adaptive immunity through a T cell, we will not understand about the adaptive immunity. So next here we will discuss here. So here is a person who contain a skin. So the immune system is working inhabitate on epidermis and dermis. So in this way here we can see that is the when barrier immunity will be ruptured. So the barrier immunity through a stratum corneum and stratum granulosum. So when rupture this barrier immunity, so the pathogen will move inside through a microbiota are present in the upper part of the skin and move inside, and after the movement inside, the dendritic cell will recognize through a toll-like receptor. This toll-like receptor will recognize through a dendritic cell or keratinocyte, and the MSC class 1 molecule will give the antigen to the macrophage to activation and produce the chemokine and cytokines. And these chemokines and cytokines basically can be interleukin 1 beta. And in this way here is you can see that macrophage basically is the phagocytosis will be occur of the pathogen, and in this way the response, and after this phagocytosis also the macrophage produce the chemokines. During the chemokine produced in the dermis, so the chemokines and cytokines will be released, and this will be activate the innate immune system to the adaptive immune system response. So that stimulation of the adaptive here is the mast cell, which that is responsible for the allergen, venom, and immunoglobulin detection to allergic reaction. So in this way, here is the chemokine, which that is chemokine released from the macrophage, will stimulate the natural killer cell and T cell and neutrophils. And in this way, the three types of cell basically we are just overview. We are getting the overview of this immune system on the skin. So here is the adipose tissue, downside is known as the hypodermis. So here is the neutrophil will move to the epidermis, and the neutrophil will engulf where the rupturing site and engulf the pathogen and neutralize by the hydrolytic enzyme. And in this way there are many type of enzyme, lysozyme, hydrolytic enzyme, and hydrolyze the pathogen, as well as these neutrophil will be engulfed by the macrophage and neutralized, and macrophage produce more chemokines to increase the response. So let's begin to understand the barrier immunity. So first of all, the barrier immunity is the part of skin basically which that is inhibit the pathogen movement inside. So in this way produce the skin immune system is sometimes called skin associated lymphoid tissue is known as the SALT, and include peripheral lymphoid organs like the spleen and the lymph node, which that is important for it. And the skin immune system basically is composed with the innate and adaptive. Innate means the non-specific and adaptive means the specific. Innate is genetic, but the adaptive is non-genetic. So the adaptive will be new. So the innate is the basically is the epidermal dendritic cells, Langerhans cells, keratinocytes, skin cell, and dermal cell and dendritic cell, while the adaptive immunity is through a T cells, B cell, natural killer cells, and mast cell. But the T cell and B cell is important for it. So let's begin to understand here the toll-like receptor we recognize. It is also known as a PRRS. So that is the pattern trigger releasing release. So that is basically MSC class 1 will recognize by the antigen, and the keratinocyte will recognize, and the T cell receptor will receive the antigen and T cell activation to proliferation and to become a CD8 and CD4, and the CD4 will be helper to activate the B cell, and after the B cell activation to proliferate and produce the B memory cell and plasma cell. On the other hand, the here is also stimulate and the T cell proliferate into the and also the keratinocyte stimulate the T lymphocyte to produce the CD8 and CD4 T lymphocyte, which that is the cytotoxic, will burst the damaged tissue, while the CD4 is the helper, which help to recognize the antigen to the B cell to activate and plasma cell and B memory cell production. So thanks.